Hey guys, what's going on? We got another Mythic Plus video here. We are doing a plus 22 Darkheart Thicket. As the other videos, I will go over dungeon mechanics and maybe some things that you can do as an Enhanced Shaman and other classes as well. So I will start off with the dungeon affixes that we have. So we got Tyrannical, Storming, and Enrage. Uh, Pretty simple week. Tyrannical increases bosses. Storming causes tornadoes, which will knock you up, which can cause an issue in certain mechanics. And Raging can cause a problem when you have a lot of casters, because once they drop below 30%, they can no longer be CC'd unless you have a form of Soothe effect, which Augmentation and Druids bring. So that means you cannot stun or fear or anything. You have to interrupt them specifically, which does come into a bit of a problem in certain packs. As you see in this one that we're doing, we kind of had a few issues, but it's a starting pack, so it doesn't pose too much of an issue. Uh, but to start off with, those tigers, they will jump to a player and put a bleed on them, and the only way to get rid of that bleed is to heal them above 90%. And yes, you can have multiple applications of it from different tigers. So if you have two, you are definitely going to be taking a lot of damage. But if you do have the bleed, I would try and use a defensive and hope your healer can get to you. Um, there's two types of casters. Well, not really casters, but there's two types of night elves. There is a ruiner and a poisoner. The ruiner will cast Fallen Star or Starfall, Star Shower, my bad. And then they will also cast Despair. Star Shower causes those red circles to fall to the ground and do an explosion type of thing, so just watch out for swirlies. And then Despair is a dot that goes on to, I believe the main focus is the tank, so it will apply a stacking debuff, which has to be dispelled. And so you really want to make sure you're interrupting as much as possible with knockups or stuns. And for these razor beaks, they just do a frontal charge, so don't be in front of them because it does hurt quite a lot. And this is a skip that not a lot of people knows. You kind of have to jump a little bit over the rocks, and then you can get up and over that bridge. There's usually a pack to the left. I don't know why it's not there. You can see me take a little double take and go, what the heck's going on there? But either way, made it a bit easier to skip, no issues. And then we come up here to a small pack of 5, and then we just take these guys out here. Again, the poisoners who shapeshift into spiders put a poison effect on you. If you don't have someone in the group with a poison dispel, I'd recommend bringing your poison cleanse totem. Just helps out a lot with getting rid of that debuff, making you not have to get out as much, and just saving the healer a bit of mana with healing. But onto a kind of difficult pack, you have two options. You can either take this on or you can skip it by using a form of invisibility, or if you have like a dragon or a leap or something, you can go to the right over the roots. As I think you can also kind of jump over as well. But these big bears, they do a maddening shout or maddening roar. My apologies. This is a stacking effect every time they do it. Basically, the damage gets increased every time, so it does hit everybody in the group, and it will eventually one-shot you if you take too long to take these guys out. All while this is happening, those nightmare abominations will be spawned from these guys, and they'll just fixate on a random target, running at them and causing the ground to be I don't know what the, like, decayed, I guess, bad zone. If you step on the bad zone, you get hurt. So just try and avoid it, and try and cleave down the little abominations with the bear while trying to focus down the bear, so that way your maddening roar shouts don't get too high. But we're on to the first boss, the Archdruid. Um, this guy is fairly simple. He has 3 mechanics. The first mechanic is his jump. Just like those cats, he will jump at a target and put a bleed on them. Until you're healed above 90%, the bleed will continue ticking, so make sure your healer is healing you. The second part of that effect is really weird. I'm not quite sure how it works. It seems that he will jump to the target and jump back to the tank, but he might possibly cleave somebody on the way. Now you won't get the dot, you will just take damage, as you'll see a couple times. I don't quite know how that works perfectly, but I've noticed it happening, so just watch out. The big one here is the Primal Rage that you just saw, which was the charge. Basically, if you are in front of him, you will take the initial hit that knocks the tank back, and then the second part is a charge forward with a frontal line. So make sure you just kind of back off a little bit. You'll see me do it a couple times when he goes for the charge. I know it's coming, so I back up a little bit just to make sure I don't get cleaved. Because some of these effects have a really odd radius and stuff like that, so it's just better to back off for a second and let the effect go off. The third mechanic is the Nightfall, which spawns 2 of the Nightmare aberrations, doing the same thing they do with the bears. They crawl at you and fixate on a random target. Again, cleave them down with the boss, and you'll be just fine. They don't do a significant amount, and they always spawn on you guys, or I guess any player. So if you have all melee, they will always be in melee. If you have one ranged and melee, then it's hard to get them grouped up, so it's best to stay kind of close. His leap will always target the farthest player out, so if you can bait it, go ahead. If not, it's not a huge issue, I don't think. I have healed this before, so I know that it doesn't take much to get that debuff off. One quick heal, like, you always do one quick powerful heal and your person should be topped off. But that is it for the Archdruid. He is the first boss, which means he is supposed to be the easiest, and I would say he is. As for Darkheart Thicket, I believe it is one of the tougher dungeons right now, especially on Tyrannical Week. Some of these bosses are quite the nightmare, very bursty. But onto this trash pack, we have a Rot-Heart Keeper. Now what's going to happen is this guy puts out an aura which causes all these little dread petal guys, the little plant looking dudes, they will regenerate health, so do not focus those guys down, focus down the Keeper. The Keeper will also summon those mushrooms. Now, I think it was just in the last patch, it was just fixed that the animation was smaller than the actual hit radius, so they fixed it so that the animation matches the hit radius now. So you no longer have to worry about being too close and them expiring and taking you out. So that is one good thing. The other mob we have in here is the Dryad. I think she got taken out. She does a poison spear effect, which can be a pain in the butt for the healer. It does do quite a bit of damage, but it's also the only thing, and the only thing annoying about her is she always runs away, so. And as for the little vile guys, they do a root burst, sorry, and if you knock them up, stun them, it will cancel the effect. So, but if you are in it, you will take quite a significant amount of damage, and you will be knocked up. So just try to avoid it. It is a brown swirly on the ground, as you'll see quite a few of them happen here, right there. You can see them, knock them up, cancel the cast, bam, back on the Keeper. So that is the main focus in this little hallway, is you want to take out the Keepers first, then you work on everything else. Because all while the Keepers are up, the little plant guys are not falling. Their HP stays at max. Now, if you see the mushrooms, even if the Keepers are down, do not run through the mushrooms, they will hurt. They will one-shot you as well, I think. Maybe not so much on Tyrannical, maybe in a 22, I didn't want to test it and find out, but on Fortified, I believe anything 18 plus will probably one-shot you, so just keep that in mind. It is very difficult to see where they spawn, but it usually takes them 1 to 2 seconds to initialize before being able to explode on you, so keep that in mind. And then we are coming up to the second boss room. This guy is probably second hardest in a way for tank. This is probably the hardest boss for the tank to deal with. It's a lot of damage, and it's a bit awkward, especially with the way some of the mechanics work. But onto his trash pack, we got these nightmare looking dudes, the Nightmare Dwellers. So what's going to happen with these guys is they are going to cast a Tormenting Eye. What that's going to do is it's going to channel on one target. If the channel completes, you will be feared, but all while the channel's going off, you are taking damage. So do interrupt, CC, stun, knock up, whatever you can do to stop that cast, do it, because it will help out. Now, as you can see, they're enraged now, so our only option is to kick them. So you want to, if it's Raging Week, you want to use your crowd controls first, and then save your kicks for when they are below 30%, so that way you don't get anybody feared, and you can get most of the interrupts. But now that we have taken out all the Nightmare Dwellers, we are on to Oakheart, who does a whole lot of leaf puns. They were originally funny, and now you kind of just don't hear them anymore. But I miss those kind of puns that Blizzard would put in. I wish they'd put in more. But anyways, on to his mechanics. We have the big one, Shattered Earth. As you can see, that hurts a lot. So you want to make sure that you are watching your health. If you are below 90%, think about using a defensive. It is very, very terrifying for the healer. Although that is about it for all the damage going out on the party. But it can easily swing the party into a bad state. The second mechanic is a tank mechanic called Nightmare Breath, and what that's going to do is it's going to be a frontal cone on the tank. It'll also put a dot on the tank, but it will also hit anybody within, I think it's 180 degree, so do be careful. Don't be with the tank, very, very important. The third mechanic is the Strangling Roots. Now this is a two-part mechanic. He puts down these roots, and if you step in them, you will get rooted and take damage, and you have to kill it to get out. The second part is he does uproot, which causes adds to spawn from all of those roots, but they will disappear at the same time. So if you can spread your flame shock to them, go ahead. It's just a little bit of extra padding just to funnel into the boss. But then once these adds come up, I think they put a stacking dot on the tank, but it really isn't too big of a deal. Just cleave them down, watch your feet. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit close to the front, but I know I'm not in the frontal, so do watch out. The last mechanic is the heavy tank mechanic called Crushing Grip. As you can see, our tank is taking a significant amount of damage. That thing hurts a lot. Now, it's going to target onto one person, who is then going to have a circle reticle around them. You don't want to be in that because you will also take a significant amount of damage, and it does not split the damage, so you're just making more work for your healer. So do watch out for that. So this fight can get very chaotic very quick with the amount of adds and placements and stuff like that. So just watch timers, watch the Nightmare Breath, watch what's going to happen, because yeah, you can quickly get cleaved down without even noticing if you're not paying attention to timers. Now, DBM has added a thing, I think I mentioned this in a older video, is dungeon affixes or something like that. Basically, it will put all the mechanic timers on the target's nameplate. It is super, super helpful with timers. It is very, very nice. But on to the next hallway, we got the Hateful Spawn Slimes. Now, what these guys do is they explode on takedown. So once you take them out, they will explode after, I think it's 1 or half a second, and doing AoE damage to everybody. So use a defensive, use a heal or something, help your healer out. Now it probably won't kill you in most keys on Tyrannical, but it will take you out in a fortified key for sure. Now this big blood-tainted fury, He does two things. The first thing is a blood orb. As you can see, it spawns a big old blood orb and causes it to explode. Don't be in that. The second thing is his blood assault, which is a frontal charge. Be very careful of that. And then he does the spawn guys on death animation thing. If these guys get their blood metamorphosis cast off, they will turn into another blood fury. So do be careful. Make sure you save interrupts and stuff like that for when that cast is going off. Although they do cast Blood Bolt, which does hurt. Getting up more elite blood elementals is more of a pain in the butt. So just be wary of that. And then we got a big old pack of blood spawns. So use a defensive. Just be careful, you know, play it by ear. Use what you can. Bringing utility in this dungeon is a must-have, so you want to make sure you have Thunderstorm and Static Totem, especially coming up into the next room where there's a whole bunch of casters. But we are on to the third boss, Dresaron. This guy's a pain in the butt. I don't know why our tank didn't pull the boss. It was kind of annoying, so I pulled it and got clapped. I don't know why he wanted to sit there and kill the little ads, but oh well. I pulled and, you know, serves me right to die, but is what it is. I onk, as shamans do. And now we fight this guy. So he has 3 mechanics. First one is going to be downdraft, which pushes you back. The closer you are to him, the less the pushback force is. But all while this is going on, you are taking damage, so do be wary. And then Earth Shaken Roar or Earth Shattering Roar causes an eruption, which does AoE damage and causes a rock fall to spawn, so watch your feet. The final mechanic is the fact that he does a Nightmare Breath on the tank. Now everybody can dodge this, including the tank, so just move out of the way of the frontal. As a DPS, you shouldn't be there in the first place, but if you plan on tanking, you can move out as soon as he starts to cast. As you see there, I wasn't completely topped off before the shout, so I fell, which kind of sucks, but is what it is. And as you can see, there are eggs all around the room. If you touch one of those eggs, a little whelpling will spawn, so they aren't too much of a pain in the butt, but they can get out of hand if your tank cannot collect them. So just don't go standing on them. But yeah, that's it for this fight. Those are all the mechanics. Very simple. Watch your HP. Save your defensive for after a downdraft if you are slightly low. If you're not topped off, make sure you use the defensive because it does do quite a lot of damage. The downdraft does do taking damage, so if you have Ancestral Guidance, use it during that to help your healer keep everyone topped off. And then use the defensive if you're not top before the Earth-Shaking Roar goes off because you will be taken out. But as for the Nightmare Breath, it's kind of a pointless mechanic that nobody should ever get hit by. It can get out of hand if the placements of the rock falls are awkward, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty simple to dodge. But onto the final hallway in the final log. This hallway does kind of suck, but it is pretty straightforward. This first pack is with Dreadfire Imps and the Satyrs. The Satyrs will cast Shadow Bolt and Curse of Tongues. The Dreadfire Imps will cast Fireball and a Dreadfire Bolt. The Dreadfire Bolt causes a, or Dread Inferno, my apologies, causes a circle to spawn around you and a ball that chases you. If that hits you, it does AoE damage. Kind of think of Heroes of the Storm, Kael'thas Pyroblast, if you've played that. If not, you can see it happen here, where it spawns, chases after somebody, and then explodes in the area. The Satyrs don't do a heck of a lot. This Tainted Heart Stalker does do kind of like a backstab shadow step thing, but there's no controlling that. Onto the Bloodseekers. These bats hurt your tank a lot. They do a disease, so if you're a class that can dispel disease, do take it, because this dot is an absolute nightmare. But if you're a warrior, you can reflect it if you time it correctly, but there is no cast time, so be wary. And if you're a dwarf, you can just remove the debuff in its own, or a paladin or a monk, I think you can just dispel yourself. So keep that in mind. If you get all four of them, use a massive defensive, because it hurts. I can tell you that from experience. But onto the final pack, we have a bit of everything here. It's mostly just cleave it down, watch for the dread fire bolts, watch for aggro. It is very prone to happen as an enhanced shaman due to your funnel and burst. But yeah, just interrupt, stun, CC, whatever you can, just stop them from doing stuff. And then you make your way to the final boss, the Shade of Xavius. This guy sucks. And I mean, he sucks. So as you notice, you may have not noticed, but we had Bloodlust off of cooldown for quite some time, and the reason why is you need Bloodlust for this phase. There's probably better times to Bloodlust, but I honestly think this is the boss that needs it the most. And you will know why soon. But first, the first mechanics are going to be the Nightmare Bolt. This causes you to be silenced if you are isolated, so you want to be with your friends. Basically, if you're a warrior, you can spell reflect it, or you can immune it in any form, but it's best just to let it go off and then, deal with it that way. The second mechanic is growing paranoia. If you are with friends, you will be feared. As you can see, that big red circle growing around him, that is the area you don't want to touch. If you touch that, your teammate will be feared, and that's not what you want to happen. If you are a warrior or a demon hunter, you could like blade storm and walk into your friends, or meta and walk into your friends. It's up to you. Just immune it somehow and get it off. It works. The third mechanic is Feed on the Weak. It's basically just a targeted mechanic that the healer has to heal through. If you get it, try to use some form of defensive or use some self-healing to help out your healer. It does a lot of damage and it will take you out, especially in the phase 2 of this fight. But as you see, I have growing paranoia now. We're all melee. I move to the back of the boss. They're all in the front. That way I can still hit the boss. Now we have Apocalyptic Nightmare. This hurts. Use a defensive. At least try to. And then all while this is happening, things are falling from the sky. And I can tell you right now, it's not fun, because every time one of these swirlies gets even somewhat close to the boss, he gains 10% increased damage. Or is it 5? I think it's 5 and then stacks up 10 times. Anyways, this guy hurts like heck. Like a lot. Especially once he gets stacked. As you can see, it's not fun. The next feed of the week is going to take somebody out probably, and I think it's me. But yeah, feed the week is now on me, and as you can see, my health just ticking 30%. I think it was even more, and it is just falling and falling. As you can see, now he's at full stack. He's casting a Nightmare Bolt on me. That brings me down to 15%, so it's quite terrifying. Growing Paranoia does not do damage on hit, but Nightmare Bolt does, and now I got Feed the Weak, and it's doing like 40% of my health per second. But we kill him anyways. So yeah, that is it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this helped, and I will see you in the next one. Laters.